Hello, everyone. This is Shelby Tuck Horton, Vice President for Education. I am extremely happy to introduce our speaker for today. It's Nikki Begg. Nikki is a wedding planner extraordinaire, and she's also a life and motivation coach for wedding planners. And I am going to stop talking and let Nikki take over and share all of these wonderful tips that she has for helping us to maintain our sanity during wedding season and beyond. Nikki, it is all yours.
Well, hi everyone. It is an amazing opportunity to jump in. I don't usually have time in my schedule for the things that I really love doing. And one of the things that I had decided about 4 years ago was to put myself first above my clients. And one of the things that also happened was during COVID, I kind of fell apart. Everything, my whole identity had been caught up in being a wedding planner, that I lost my whole sight of who I was as a person. And it really was amazing because I was taking on a lot of business so I could earn back the money I'd lost. Um, and in doing so, had really made a lot of mistakes by uh, really not employing what I call a red velvet rope policy. I ended up working with people saying yes when I should have been saying no. And this took me down an incredible journey of understanding more about my nervous system, about how I could be a better wedding planner. So today I want to talk about the hidden cost of saying yes when you mean no. And I'm just going to just very few slides because I tend to read them instead of paying attention. So we're going to explore the pitfalls of being a perpetual people pleaser and the disastrous ripple effects it has on your sanity and your business, and learning why it's okay to say no, not just as a necessity, but as a superpower. I will tell you horror stories, completely relatable, I'm sure. I have a very dry sense of humor, so I shall not apologize because I'm not good at people pleasing anymore. Practical advice and insights to help you understand why you often find yourself in the same impossible situations and how to reclaim your boundaries and thrive. So if anyone, I am seeing the chat, if anyone, finds themselves again and again and again, like, how am I back exactly where I was? I've gone through this and now the same situation has come up. So how to recognize these, the why we're constantly in the same situations and how to get out of them. So what we're going to be covering today is, I know that some of you are on lunch, and I so appreciate that you're taking the time to attend. I talk quickly. If I'm too quick, I'll slow down. Let me know. But we'll have the introduction. We'll understand what is people pleasing. Why do wedding planners please? This is a tongue twister in and of itself. The role of the nervous system and self-regulation, the hidden cost of saying yes when you mean no, the self-coaching model, which, as Shelby will know, is part of the Life's Coach School, reframing thoughts to break your cycle, setting boundaries and the benefits of saying no, and then coming up with an action plan. I have been a member of ABC since 2000. I have actually, I joined at the very end. I started in 1999, and I, like most of us, if we're wanting to do something, we want to do it well. So I did a wedding and I thought there's got to be a better way to do it. I joined ABC, and it's been the most incredible journey for me, and an amazing support system as well. I live in Bermuda, so I am a destination wedding planner, and I came into wedding planning at a time where destination weddings were just a new thing. So I've really been incredibly fortunate to spearhead wedding planning per se in Bermuda. But as I was saying to Shelby and Nicole just before everyone else came in, is that there are very few of us who started in the industry back, who have remained in the industry. And part of this is because of burnout, it's because of resentment, it's being exhausted, it's about trying to juggle everything, it's about time management, it's about running your own business, it's about this stress of trying to keep all of that happening. And there is tremendous pressure that we put on ourselves. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. If anyone else is a perfectionist, please feel free to jump in. And I have been burned out more than once. Just like, what am I doing? There's got to be more to life than this. And that usually happens on a Sunday morning when my legs are swollen and I'm tired. So I recognized that what I was living for was this validation. Oh, we couldn't have done this without you. The 5-star reviews, the amazing paychecks. And I have made a lot of money, but at what cost? And one of the things that I wanted to do was recognize why. Why did I want to become a wedding planner? Because somewhere along the way, I lost myself. And I was very tired of constantly feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, chasing the next win. So getting people to sign up and then recognizing that I had a whole wedding to plan. And by always putting myself last, putting my clients first, myself last, I was missing out on amazing milestones. I have 2 grandchildren. I am right in the middle of wedding season. On Thursday, which is tomorrow, we begin a 5-day event, a 5-day weekend, long weekend. And I'm only saying this to not impress you, but to state this particular wedding is costing $750,000. So there's a lot of expectation on the line for myself, for my business to deliver. And I say this to my team all the time. We are only as good as our last wedding because our reputation is so strong on the island. So, in a larger industry, I can only speak for Bermuda. But just recognizing how can I be a better wedding planner and how can I be a better person, and just thinking about these things, seeking these solutions led me to mindset coaching. And again, I go back to COVID. When we went into lockdown, we were allowed to walk no further than we were not allowed to leave our homes. We were only allowed half a mile. So before we went into lockdown, I plotted out what half a mile was, and I walked and walked and walked, and I listened to podcasts all about mindset to help me get through what I was struggling with. I reimbursed over $700,000, and I was down to $2.18 left in my bank account. And I didn't know what to do. And I remember sort of curling up in a fetal position because I didn't know what else to do. My whole identity, as I mentioned, was tied up as a wedding planner. And then I found mindset coaching. I spoke to my cousin, he lent me the money. I signed up with Life Coach School and went through their program to certify. One of the most incredible things about thought work, and this is what we're going to get into, is it teaches you to step away. It gives you a moment to pause. It gives you the opportunity to really visit, what am I doing here? Why am I thinking what I'm thinking? What outcome do I want and how I'm going to get there? Rather than going into a complete dysregulation, a spiral effect. So now I am loving my life. I'm able to have my team working today. Clients are arriving in on a private jet. Oh, please. And they're at the airport, and I'm able to be here because I'm able to prioritize myself, my work, and their expectations. So being a bit of a perfectionist and doing an incredible amount of self-work, I've now earned 3 coaching certifications, one through Cara Lowenthal, advanced certification in feminist coaching. So I don't know if many men are here, but I'm all pro female. Countless hours of coaching others. And my mission now is dedicated to helping wedding planners break free from this very familiar cycle of constantly finding ourselves in situations we do not want to be in. So that's back to table of contents. And what I want to do, first of all, is understand what is people pleasing. So you're more than welcome to pro-female. Yes, Shree. Very, very much. I'm looking at some of the comments that are coming in. So what is people pleasing? It is this absolute belief that if we don't accommodate, if we don't take care of other people, we won't be loved. It is about people not liking us. It is about basically agreeing to requests or demands to gain their approval, to avoid conflict, to maintain relationships, even when it is in conflict with our own needs or desires. Does that resonate with what people pleasing really is? It's understanding that. And the tragedy is it's common in wedding planning. We feel that because we've been paid to take on a role, that our role then becomes completely looking after the client and their needs and agreeing to last minute tasks despite an overwhelming and overloaded schedule, taking on extra tasks that we haven't been paid to do, that are outside of our roles, and accepting sometimes lower fees to accept a client. And again, I have done close to 2,000 weddings. I used to do I had a team, we did all of the cruise ship weddings. And when I was starting out, I did take weddings. They would say, well, we can't afford that. And I wanted the business, so I would accept less. But they ended up always demanding more. So it's through trial and error that just because someone can't afford my fee doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It either means I haven't sold my value or they just don't have the budget for it. And either of those are okay. One of the tragedies about people pleasing is it's rooted in social conditioning, societal conditioning to prioritize other people's needs. As children, we are brought up to, especially as girls, to look after our younger brothers and sisters, or to please daddy, or to please our parents, or always getting good, you're always pleasing someone. It has become ingrained that we need, again, for validation, when we are good girls, someone will love us. We will be appreciated. And we gave the key to our happiness to others rather than recognizing that it's only ourselves that can validate ourselves. And I'll tell you a very quick story. Is I did a wedding on the 21st of June, and I didn't have my red velvet rope policy in place. And a red velvet rope policy, and this is an age thing, is when you were young, I was 17, 18, I was going to school in England. And if you wanted to go into a nightclub, if you were a special person, they opened up, this red velvet rope and you could go in. So now I have a firm red velvet rope policy in place for my business, which means that I only want to work with people who I think are in alignment with my values, so that I can stay in integrity with what I believe in. So I'm not giving away my soul to please them, because I've got to work with them for a year and a half, and it has to be more than getting a paycheck. We give up too much of ourselves. So one of the things that I have really recognized, and I think this is one of the joys of getting older, is that when you people please, you are not showing up as who you really are. So people fall in love with this person but that isn't you. That is someone you want them to see and understand. You want them to love this persona, but if it isn't you, then you're denying them the opportunity of falling in love with who you really are, as well as giving them the opportunity and you the opportunity to align with someone that you can have. I'm not keen on the word authentic, but in this instance, to have an honest relationship with. And Zig Ziglar, who is a famous marketer, used to say, people will buy from those they know, like, and trust. Only when you show up as who you are, can they know you? Can they like you? Can they trust you? So I want to put that out there. When you hide your true feelings, you are actually manipulating people as to how they perceive you. So why do we please? And again, it is about prioritizing other people's comfort, other people's prioritizing their needs, and often trying to have self-worth through external validation. There are high stakes. I cannot think of an industry that is more prevalent for people pleasing than as a wedding planner. We come into this industry where client satisfaction is paramount. We don't want negative reviews. We don't want to lose referrals. And this is a competitive industry. There are cultural expectations to be nurtured and to be accommodating, especially for women. And so for many, people pleasing it's a survival mechanism, and it often is unconscious, driven by the need to be accepted. So when you say yes to a demanding bride, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this woman, she's driving me crazy. If I say yes, then I am avoiding conflict. Often then it means we're asking our team to work overtime, or we're working overtime without being paid. I want to really address the nervous system.
Joshua, who's outside?
I don't know, but come on in.
Hmm.
So when the nervous system comes into play, and this is critical, we have our brain, we have our CEO, which is so we have what we call the lizard brain, which is the reptilian brain, which is at the back of the head. And that part of your brain is all about survival. And then we have the CEO part of our brain, which is called the amygdala. And that's the one that makes conscious decisions. When we were in survival mode, our nervous system is dysregulated. So let's touch on the nervous system for a second. There is self-regulation in the middle. There's hyper and there's hypo. When you're in hyper mode, you are feeling panicky. You feel like you've got to fight. It's fight or flight. It is about trying to protect yourself. And then when you're in hypo, you shut down. It's otherwise known as fight or flight, but there's now a new terminology called freeze. And often when we go into shutdown mode, we're freezing. We just can't manage. We don't even know how to begin. Now, when you are in this beautiful self-resilience, you're able to manage your emotions. When we're working with clients, we bring our nervous system to an interview just as they bring theirs. They're bringing expectations, they're bringing their checkbook, they're bringing, again, these incredible expectations of how they want their daughter's wedding or how they want their wedding to run. And they are looking to us with this idea of, can I trust this person to execute this vision? One of the most amazing things, and this is what I was going to mention about the wedding I did the other day, is the realization for the first time, and I've been doing thought work now for 5 years, is I can validate myself. I do not need somebody to tell me I've done a great job. I did not need this woman to tell me that. For the last 18 months, it has been a challenging relationship. All of you who, you know what a timeline is like. Her timeline ended up being 60 pages because she wanted, and Martika, I see you laughing at me. I see you laughing. She wanted, after 4 steps, Livy would lift out her left hand. Her father would then take her hand with her right hand. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous, because I can promise you this. When that bride starts working down the aisle, she isn't looking at her timeline, knowing which hand to put out. So this woman didn't necessarily trust that I could execute the vision. She needed validation that she was being a good mother, that she was taking care of everything. Because it turned out, actually, at the end of the night, she said, I knew you'd have this. That wasn't how I felt, though. And so when we talk about the self-coaching model, my thoughts about this particular mother challenged the way that I worked with her. So one of the things that happens, why do we please? And the hidden cost of it is all on your nervous system. So unless you are self-regulated, you can't show up in the best way possible. Now, the reality of it is that our whole lives, we can wake up in the morning, the sun is shining, we're like, yay, this is great. I mean, I woke up this morning, the sun was shining, and I was on top of the world. I love it when the sun shines, especially on a wedding day. Then, something could have happened and I could have felt my emotions spiral downwards. Something disastrous could have happened and I might have become dysregulated. But I know how to talk to myself, and I know how to check in with my nervous system. I know how to, instead of using words like spiral, I go, check in, and I go, wow, what just happened there? What's going on? Why am I not feeling okay? Why do I feel defensive? Why do I feel like shutting down? Why? And I ask myself these questions. And when I am dealing with my own nervous system, I recognize too that every time I show up, every time I'm on a phone call, every time on a Zoom call, equally, you are bringing your nervous system to this call, your expectations of what you're going to learn, your expectations of how's she presenting? Why did the dog groomer come in halfway through? What's going on here, kind of thing. So if you can understand your own nervous system, you can also recognize that your DNA, your religion, your socioeconomic, your expectations, your hopes, we meet in the middle. And as wedding planners, when you are able to be in control of your nervous system, you are then able to be cool, calm, and collected when someone else is dysregulated. When someone else is defensive, you can be calm. When someone else is crying, you can be calm. You don't have to get caught up in their drama, which can be challenging, because their nervous system is already high energy. But it's that both nervous systems, if you can be self-regulated, then you can become just, they will look to you to guide them. And you will begin to see their energy just as you are closely aligned to your energy. You can begin to pick up subtle cues. And we all can do this. As wedding planners, we can tell, we can look across the room and go, oh my gosh, that person needs something, or oh my heavens, that's about to go wrong. We are queens at crisis management. We identify a problem before it even happens because we are so clued in with what everyone else is doing. So when you have your prefrontal cortex acting as CEO, you can protect yourself, you can defend yourself, and it can keep you safe. So one of the things, let's go on to the hidden costs of saying no. So does that make sense? The role of the nervous system and self-regulation, just really recognizing that in a nutshell, when you show up in control of everybody's expectations without taking them on, you are able to appear confident, in control, and authority. And you've got to believe they don't know any better. They're looking to you to guide them. So the hidden costs. When you say yes, when you mean no, it means that we've talked about you're being overworked, you're not being compensated for this additional work you've taken on, and you are putting stress on your team, you're putting stress on your family. And one of the things that is so beautiful, and you just have to believe in it, is that when you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're actually turning down an opportunity to say yes to something else you do want to do. When you say no, you free up your schedule. When you say no, you're honoring your values. When you say no to someone, you are recognizing that you have self-worth. Now, I'm not saying no and you just say no and walk away. You can actually say, yes, we can do that. And the cost will be, yes, we can do that. I will be able to, I've got a wedding at the moment, and I will be able to take care of that for you next week. Yes, we can do that for you. I will have the bellman carry your bags. I used to do this all the time. I would arrive in someone's hotel room, all the bridesmaids' bags were waiting to go somewhere. I had my clipboard, my phone, my crossbody bag, and now there are 12 bags that I need to deal with because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Can you take your bags to, and I'd be asked, and I would say, let me get the bellman to come and collect them. Here are some tags. If you put the names on your tags, we'll make sure. So I did it, but I did not take it on. And that's powerful. We as women believe only we, are responsible for sorting out the world's problems. If only that were true. We're not. We have been hired as wedding planners to execute someone's vision. That doesn't mean we have to do it. It means we have to be resourceful. So let me call the bellman. He'll come right up. We'll get your bags down there. Now, ladies, if you'd like to, the taxis are waiting. Let me get you down. Smooth. When it's about asking for money, would you do this and not have the expectation to pay for it? Would we go for a manicure pedicure or go for a manicure and say, oh, would you mind doing my toes while you're at it, and not expecting to pay for it? Not expecting that they might have another appointment right after us? We wouldn't, because those boundaries are in place. You have an appointment for a certain product or service at a certain time, and there is a fee attached to that. We go into a grocery store. We pick up what we want. We have a look at the cost. We buy that. We pay the money, and out we go. We do not, I think it's called stealing. We do not take on additional things without the expectation of having to pay for it. But why, as wedding planners, do we continue to take on work that we're not being paid to do? We are damaging our businesses. We are losing profitability. And more importantly, we are losing integrity with ourselves. So one of the things that I really want to talk about, and when I did this wedding on the 21st, I knew I had done an extraordinary job. I was proud. And for the first time, I was like, I did this. We were given an hour and a half to do a complete load in for 100, set up tables, 150 people, an hour and a half. All the furniture had to be cleared, all the tables had to be come in, all the linens, all the menus, all the glassware, all the menus had the names on the top, everything had to be done. We came in, everyone was organized, we got it done. And the mother of the bride was asking for something. She knew we only had 90 minutes. And I said, I'll be right with you. Just if you can give me an understanding of what you want. And then I spoke to the property manager and I said, this is whom I can't mention the name of the mother of the bride. This is what she needs. And I let her get on with it rather than me taking my time away from my team when I had that. And it was about protecting my team. And then my team knew I had their back. I had mine, I had theirs, and I had the mother's because I delegated it. I could have done what she was asking for, sure, but so could someone else that wasn't involved in what we were about to do. At the end of that evening, I was really in conflict. She was highly complimentary about all the design work, about everything I'd done, and yet she never said thank you to me. And I was someone who craved, Nikki, we couldn't have done this without you. That feels really, really good. But then it means that we're expecting other people to validate our work. And yes, we do need that because we are doing what we're doing for other people. But then I ask myself, why am I doing weddings? What do I love about doing weddings? Is it to make other people happy? Sure. But is that why I do weddings? Is it for the money I make? Sure. But is that why I do weddings? And by asking that why, I got down to, it's because I love making beautiful things. That is my why. And so now when I interview someone, and I interview them to see if they'll be a potential client, I look at the scope of work, what they want me to create. Is this in alignment with,
Like the lay on the poop thing?
is this in alignment with what
The
I'm
poop.
doing? So
No.
the thought work is,
Yeah. What was it?
for someone with their microphone on.
What are you doing with it? Marley, the poop.
Shelby, are you able to mute everybody?
I just did.
Just in case. So when you understand your why, then you can show up and you can take on work that allows you say yes to the things you love and no to the things that aren't in alignment with your values, aren't in alignment with your aesthetic. Like if someone wants purple and silver unicorns, that's not me. Have I been offered a lot of money to do that? Absolutely. But I knew I wasn't the right person. They actually came back to me after, and thank you for confirming the time. Yes, thank you. They said, we thought this is what we wanted, but in actual fact, what we're looking for is something timeless. We worked with this wedding planner and she didn't understand our vision. And I said, to be frank, I didn't understand your vision either, which is why I recommended that you interview other wedding planners. So when you have integrity with who you are and what you do, you will naturally attract the right person that understands the style of wedding that you can do effortlessly. And when something is effortless, it's easy. The relationship with them is easy because you're all working in the same direction. So we don't need the financial loss. We don't need to undervalue our services. We don't need to create resentment with a client because they're continually asking us to do something we haven't been paid to do. And the other thing is when we sometimes agree to do something, we are resentful because we're not being paid. And there is this temptation to present less than amazing results because you're not being paid to do it. I, as a perfectionist, want to do it beautifully regardless. And then my team were like, oh my gosh, Nikki, why are we doing this kind of thing? So let's talk about why we do this. And let's talk about the self-coaching model. This in and of itself, as Shelby knows, is a huge subject in and of itself. But the self-coaching model and reframing the thoughts, I will tell you in 5 minutes or less, is about recognizing a circumstance. So the acronym, if you want to make a note, it's CTFAR. Circumstance, thought, feelings, actions, and results. Every time you are in a situation where you're feeling dysregulated, ask yourself, what's going on here? What is the circumstance that I'm in? Could be a bouquet is the wrong shade of blue. It could be, and a circumstance has to be proven in a court of law. So I had a bride that said, this isn't the right shade of pink. Well, pink is subjective. Blue is subjective. A color is subjective. So did she present you with a Pantone? How do we marry up facts? If a vendor is late, if they're supposed to be there at a certain time and they're not, a circumstance is this vendor was 15 minutes late. My thought is frustration or it's anger or whatever it is. So that is my thought. Sorry, my thought is, where the heck are they? And then I feel angry. The action is to get all riled up. It is potentially to make a phone call to them. And the result is I've delayed that vendor getting to me because I've tied them up instead of. So circumstance, what is the circumstance? The thought, how I take this on, the feeling is how I show up, the actions, all of the things that I do or don't do. And an action might have been not do anything. And therefore I haven't found out why he's late. I had a minister who's in the wrong place. But through thought work, the circumstances, the minister isn't here. My thought is, I hope he's okay. Where is he? I hope he's okay. My feeling is concern. My action is to call his mobile, wasn't on. I called his wife. He's in the wrong place. She called him, told him where he should be, and he arrived. So again, I hope he's okay. Where is he? Action, find out where he is. The result is he shows up in the right place. So by doing thought work, instead of going like angry about it, being proactive, in control, self-regulating, and creating that solution. And in doing so, we reframe, sorry, I've put reframe twice, reframe thoughts to break the cycle. I've taken 12 weeks worth of information and distilled it into this tiny, tiny little moment here. So how we can do that. And I will send you, for anyone who's interested, I will send you a thought workbook so you can put in any situation. And it could be you walk into your children's bedroom and it's messy. So your thought is, why can't they tidy up after themselves? Or the children, the thought is always actually a statement. My children haven't tidied up after themselves. And you're feeling angry. Like, your action is to storm around their bedroom, tidying it all up, being cross at them when they get home. And the result is that you've actually disconnected with your children. They see you're angry. So you've shown up for them in a way, and that they're not able, they're, oh my gosh, if I leave my room in a mess again, or they might be resentful and leave their room in a mess deliberately. So you haven't created breaking through the cycle to create a constructive part. And I can, CJ, I'll absolutely send you a workbook. So what are boundaries? Boundaries are recognizing what is acceptable to you. And the biggest, I'm aware of the time, but this is what is revolutionary. So if you only hear one thing in this time frame, hear this. We never know what our boundary is until it's too late. Until it's been crossed. Until we're resentful. Until we're in overwhelm. only then do we realize that you did have a boundary. Someone's taken advantage of you. Someone has done whatever they've done, and you've allowed it. So it really is about you tapping into what is acceptable for you, how to create boundaries, how to say no. And when we are in a position to be strong enough, and this is one of the things that I teach, to get a request and say, that's an interesting concept, but that doesn't work for me. It takes balls to say something like that. But if they're constantly asking you to do something that you're not comfortable doing, you will disappoint. It is far better to approach it at the very beginning, or if they want you to do something that you're not being paid to do, that sounds like an interesting concept. Our quote doesn't include this, but I can certainly get you a price and let's see if you want to proceed. It's easy. It's absolutely easy, but it takes courage. The downside of that, of not speaking up for yourself, is your boundaries will constantly be encroached. You will constantly find yourself in the situation again and again and again until you learn, usually the hard way, about why standing up for yourself at the very beginning, as challenging as that can feel, you have set a boundary and you don't need to say it again because you just repeat yourself. That's not within the scope of work, but I'm more than happy to get a quote for you. And then let's see if you want to proceed. Or it is in the scope, in which case you don't have to mention it. But this way you stop taking on work you're not paid to do. You can work within the structure of you're not within the structure of doing something for free. I had to decide a long time ago whether or not I was running a business or whether I was running a hobby. And when I learned that, I was like, oh my gosh, if I keep on giving my time away for free, I'm undervaluing myself. I am struggling to pay for my team members. And they don't remember, I mean, I'm incredibly lucky. I get pictures of ultrasounds, people who write to me 5 years after the fact. And I'm just blown away by that. But when you don't have boundaries, you say yes to clients, which leads to exhaustion and underpayment. And if you feel that if you say no, you'll lose that client, they weren't the right client to begin with because they didn't value you. So if you say no, then you're fearful, you agree, you work unpaid hours, you're exhausted, burnout, financial strain. But saying no respectfully ensures that you're valued for your expertise. You set boundaries, you charge appropriately, you feel empowered, and small changes in thought work lead to significant professional and personal growth. So I promised I'd finish. Isn't it amazing as wedding planners, we have spidey senses on time. In Bermuda, it's 1:44. I knew I'd finish at 1:45, so I'm an hour ahead of time. So there's always homework. Yeah, so it is, you learn the hard way, and they don't appreciate it. Who has done something extraordinary for a client and they go, yeah, they just don't appreciate it. It's amazing. So I want, and I can send these to you. One people-pleasing habit that you presently do that you want to change. So accepting last-minute requests, doing something outside of the scope of work, taking phone calls at 11 o'clock at night. Talk to me about whether or not you have an onboarding document which outlines very clearly, these are my working hours, whether or not you accept text calls, text messages. We don't unless it's in the week of the wedding. Everything has to come through email because then it's documented. Every email has to be, every expense has to, I want a written sign off. And I learned that the hard way, and it cost me $15,000. And I swear I still have PTSD on this. I want you then to apply the self-coaching model to this one habit, this people-pleasing habit you have in your work, to find out why you do it and the outcome. And then I'll send you the booklet so that you can actually reverse it. You can go from an unintentional model, how you find yourself in this like craziness, to working intentionally with positive results. So open for question and answers. I know some people have to get back to work. I would love to just take a second and see. No text until the rehearsal day. We have fancy systems we pay for. Oh my gosh. Definitely taking phone calls to text back. Yes, kills me. How about 2 a.m.? Who took a phone call at 2 a.m.?
Oh my
Who is Cashmere Events? Who did that?
Tia, it was me. It was me. It was me. A
And you
hot client.
answered?
I did. I did.
Why?
Yeah.
Why
I
did
had
you
no
answer?
idea.
Do you just
Because I thought she was important.
more important than your sleep?
Yeah.
Did it set up you gave her permission in accepting that phone call? You gave
And she ran with it. She ran with it. And every night it was 2 and 3 a.m. Oh my God. Oh my God. One more thing. One more thing.
So my phone shuts off at 9 and it comes back on at 6. That's it. And you can have favorites. So my son can call, my 94-year-old neighbor can call, it can come through, but everyone else. So talk to me, taking phone calls. No, sirree. I just want to, she still does. Who said that? She still does. Oh my heavens. And the thank you never comes. Oh my Lord. Yeah. In your country, do you have a clause that address situation that we will not do? So I'm just looking at the questions. It allows me, so there are, I was thinking about this. And is it Margie? Margie?
Margie.
Margie, I want to say your name properly. I was thinking about this the other day because this situation I had, she wanted me to do a CAD drawing. And I was like, but the resort has a floor plan. Why don't we use the floor plan? He wanted a CAD drawing. And so I said, that's not something I do. However, I can get an architect and the cost will be. So I fall back there now with the ways that weddings have evolved. There are too many situations and it's impossible in a contract, I believe, to list everything.
Yeah.
But what we do is we do list out all the administration, all the vendors. I had the same wedding. They wanted me to negotiate the cost of wine. And I said, my contract said, I review contracts. We don't negotiate costs. Just like I don't negotiate my rate anymore. And people say, well, if we pay less, can we have less? But you always end up doing the bits because it is your reputation on the line. So I would love to open the floor up. I'm just having a look we've got 6 new messages. Bonus automated starts at 12, ends at 11. Yes. Only kids can call during do not disturb. Amen. Yeah.
Nikki, there's one a question, and I think it's around boundaries. When is it too late? Panic and anger sets in.
Okay. Yes, when it's too late, I panic and anger sets in. So brilliant. So when it's too late, it's not too late. And this is why self-regulation is so important. When you find yourself being angry, what I really want you to do is pause, step out of the situation. So what I do when I'm being asked or someone's spoken to me rudely because they're dysregulated and I just happen to be in the firing line, I recognize where they're at. I can tell you're angry about this. Please give me a moment and I'll be right back. And I have to step out because I don't want to get defensive. And I will say, I will come up with a solution. Please give me a minute. And I leave. I leave that space with boundaries, understanding what your boundaries are. And this is, I do think that for women, it's hard to even identify our boundaries to begin with. But by recognizing when you feel irritated by something, clearly a boundary's been crossed. Pay attention to that feeling. What am I feeling? Be aware of your nervous system. What am I feeling? What reaction am I having? Am I angry? Am I irritated? Am I frustrated? Why am I angry, irritated, frustration? Am I overwhelmed? And then why did that happen? So that this awareness that you're creating for yourself, when even a hint of that comes, you're able to say, I appreciate the thought. This isn't something we would ordinarily do. Let me find someone who can take care of that for you. But when you're in the middle of it, when it's too late, so too late, as Shelby knows, is just a thought. It's too late. You're deciding it's too late. But it's not. Another thought may be, I have all the time I need to resolve this. And now, instead of feeling it's too late and I panic, I am giving myself the time I need to sort this out. I can then show up in a way that is powerful. I open up my senses to being more resourceful. But if I just go into panic mode, I cannot help them, and I certainly can't help me. Did that kind of answer that question? So the anger sets in, panic and anger. Step out, reframe the thought. So reframing thoughts to break the cycle, which is, I do this. I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still in one piece. I'm not dead. I can sort this out. There's time. I had a bride. It was raining. She didn't want to get out the car. She waited 1 hour and 1 minute to get out the car until it stopped raining, because she was not going to get married in the rain. And her guests waited. And I thought to myself, what can I do? I invited everyone for cocktails on her tab. I said, the bride is momentarily delayed. Would everyone like to, there are drinks being served. And as soon as she arrives, we'll bring you back out. They were happy. They had a drink. She was happy. She wasn't in the rain. So it is about being resourceful and about that creativity, which we all have. So let's just see, I'm very aware of time. Are there any other questions? Step out, rephrase, yes. And when you rephrase the thought, you regain control of the situation. You give yourself control. When you think it's too late, you've lost control. You're giving your power to somebody else. You're giving your power to the circumstance. When you think, wow, didn't expect that to happen, I have the time that I need to resolve this. And one of the things that I love doing is I think, what are my options? I can send them all home. I'm not going to do that, but you explore, and I have fun with this. And then when everything's going crazy, my team and I, we do a yes and. So we're trying to find a solution. So someone says, let's send them all for cocktails. And I'll go, yes, and let's charge it to the bride. Yes, and someone get umbrellas for everybody. Yes, and. So when you aren't criticized for negative thought, it gives you permission to have lots of crazy thoughts, to explore. And then you grab hold of the good ones. And then you are back in control, having created a perfect solution. And they're like, oh, that's such a great idea. So that's really it. My meeting's about to end. I'm going to send a workbook to anyone who wants it. Shelby, Nicole, are you able to? You've got a list. I'll send it to everyone who registered.
Yes, I'll get that to
Yeah.
you.
So in closing, it's 1:56 my time. You can find out more about me. My website is betterthantherapy.coach. www.betterthantherapy.coach. We do Lois, it's my absolute pleasure. We go through, it can be personalized, we can focus on, it's very structured. At the same time, I am here to support you. This industry has given me so much. And when I reached out to Shelby, it was, how do I give back? And if I can help you not only be better wedding planners, but more confident as an individual, it's this beautiful cycle. It's this energy that exists in the universe that when we give, we get back. And I think that's one of the issues with wedding planners is that we're always giving. And now we need to be responsible for giving back to ourselves, taking our power back. Thank you so much for your time. For those who wish to stay on, I know it's usually an hour, but jump in, say anything you want until Shelby says we got to go. I actually have a private plane that just landed a short while ago, so I need to.
Nikki, we're not going to take any more of your time. I really appreciate your coming and speaking to our members. Something that we really needed to hear. Um, it felt like you were preaching a sermon that we needed to be reminded of. Sometimes we know it, but sometimes we don't live it, and we need to be reminded of it. So thank you. Thank you very
My
much.
absolute pleasure. My
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure.
And thank you everyone who attended today. I hope you wrote some notes. I hope you took something away, and not only take it away, but to really implement it into your life and into your work and into all that you're doing. We have a webinar. You know, webinars are every week. Our next education webinar is on the 16th of July, and we'll be talking SEO. So, Nikki, I'm gonna let you get to that private plane at the airport. Hi, thank you.
Private plane. So
Um, and I'll see everybody. You can say, if you want to unmute and say goodbye to Nikki and thank you, you can.